The quality of your life is nothing more than the quality of your thoughts. Think about that. Every emotion you feel, every decision you make, every result you create, it all begins with a single thought. And yet, most people never control their thoughts. They live on autopilot, replaying the same doubts, the same fears, the same limitations. They wake up every morning with yesterday's worries already running in their mind, and then they wonder why nothing changes, why tomorrow looks exactly like today. But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses them. If you don't take control of your mind will control you. And once your thoughts control you, they control your actions. Your actions shape your habits, and your habits define your destiny. This is not about shallow positive thinking. This is about thought mastery, the ability to break destructive mental loops before they break you, the ability to reprogram your subconscious with empowering beliefs, the ability to use discipline and focus to design the life you want starting now. Your mind is a battlefield. On one side, fear, doubt, distraction. On the other, clarity, purpose, discipline. Every thought you choose is either moving you closer to victory or pulling you into defeat. So let me ask you, who's in control right now? Is it you, or is it the same old voices of fear and limitation? Because the moment you decide to master your thoughts, everything changes. You stop drifting. You stop reacting. You begin creating, and that is how you change your life. Every battle you fight in life begins long before you take action. The real war is not in the world outside, it is in the world within. Your mind is the battlefield, and every thought you entertain is either pushing you toward victory or pulling you toward defeat. Most people don't realize this. They think success is decided by talent, by opportunity, by luck. But the truth is, it's decided in the invisible space of your own thinking. Before you win in business, you must win in your thoughts. Before you build discipline in your body, you must build clarity in your mind. Before you change your life, you must first change your thinking, the invisible enemy. Think about how many battles are lost, not because someone wasn't capable, but because they convinced themselves they couldn't. The student who says, "I'm just not smart enough." The entrepreneur who whispers, "I'll probably fail anyway." The athlete who repeats, "I'm too tired. I can't keep going." These thoughts don't just pass through the mind. They take root, they grow, and eventually they become self-fulfilling prophecies. The greatest enemy was never the competition. It was the voice inside their own head, the silent programming. Your thoughts are programming your future right now, whether you're aware of it or not. Every repeated thought becomes a belief. Every belief guides your actions, and those actions, repeated over time, carve out the reality you live in. If you keep thinking, "He can't, I can't, soon you won't." If you keep thinking, "I'm not ready, you'll never be." If you keep thinking, "It's impossible, it will be," but here's the power. If you choose differently, if you plant stronger thoughts, then stronger beliefs will form. Those beliefs will drive bold action. And bold action creates a future most people only dream of. Two opposing forces. Picture your mind as a battlefield with two armies clashing every single day. On one side, there's fear, doubt, distraction, laziness. They whisper, take it easy, play it safe, stay where you are. On the other side, there's clarity, courage, discipline, and faith. They command, rise, move forward, keep going no matter what. Every decision you make, every action you take is determined by which side you allow to win in that moment. And make no mistake, you are the general. You decide which army takes control. Why most people lose? Why do most people never break free? Because they don't even know the battle exists. They wake up and their thoughts take over. They react to stress. They obey fear. They surrender to doubt. They don't fight back because they never learned how. They assume thoughts are truth, but thoughts are not facts. They are options. They are suggestions, and you have the power to reject them. The masses never realize this. So they drift through life defeated, not by the world, but by their own mind. The winner's edge. Winners see the battle clearly. They recognize that their mind is the first place they must win. That's why successful people guard their thoughts as if their life depends on it, because it does. When doubt rises, they replace it with determination. When fear speaks, they drown it out with action. When distraction calls, they cut it off with focus. They don't let negative thoughts set the tone for their day. They don't give destructive loops a chance to take root. They command their mind like a warrior commands an army. Your first step. So what does this mean for you? It means your first responsibility is awareness. You must learn to observe your thoughts as they come and go. Step outside yourself and notice, what am I allowing into my mind right now? Is this thought empowering me or weakening me? Because once you shine light on a thought, it loses its power. Once you identify the enemy, you can fight it. Once you recognize the battlefield, you can choose to win. A simple truth. Here's the simple but powerful truth. Your life is a reflection of your dominant thoughts. If you want to change your life, don't start with the outside world. Start with the battlefield of your mind. Train it, discipline it, direct it, and when you do, you'll discover that the biggest victories are won before you ever take action, because you already won inside. The battlefield of the mind is where everything begins. It's where dreams are born or buried. It's where success is created or destroyed. The question is, which side will you allow to win? Because if you can master this battlefield, if you can take command of your thoughts, then nothing outside of you will ever have the power to stop you. Your life is always moving in the direction of your most dominant thoughts, not the passing thoughts, not the random ideas that float in and out of your mind, but the thoughts that you allow to take root, the ones you repeat, dwell on, and give energy to. These dominant thoughts become the blueprint for your beliefs. Your beliefs guide your decisions, and those decisions create the life you are living right now. The law of dominant thought. There is a law as certain as gravity. Whatever you consistently hold in your mind will eventually manifest in your life. This doesn't mean every fleeting idea becomes reality. It means the thoughts you allow to dominate your mental space become the foundation of your identity. If you constantly think, I'm not enough soon, you'll prove yourself right by shrinking from opportunities. If you constantly think, I can't, your actions will align with that belief, and you'll fail before you even begin. But if you constantly think, I will find a way, you'll notice solutions others overlook, and doors will open where walls once stood. Your dominant thought is the lens through which you see the world. Change the lens, and the world itself changes. History proves it. Think about Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed experiments, thousands of opportunities to quit. If his dominant thought had been, maybe they're right, maybe this can't be done, history would never have seen the light bulb. But his dominant thought was simple: there is a solution, and I will find it. That thought carried him through every failure until success was inevitable. Or take Henry Ford. The world laughed at the idea of a car affordable for the masses. Engineers told him it couldn't be done. But his dominant thought was, I will build a motor car for the great multitude. And that thought became reality. These men weren't superhuman. They simply mastered their dominant thoughts. Your dominant thought is a magnet. Your mind is like a magnet, pulling your life toward the direction of your most consistent focus. Think about fear all the time, and you'll attract reasons to be afraid. Think about opportunity all the time, and you'll begin to see chances others overlook. Think about growth all the time, and your actions will naturally move you toward progress. It's not magic, it's psychology. Your brain filters reality through something called the reticular activating system. Whatever you dwell on, your brain tags as important. It then scans the world to find more of it. That's why someone obsessed with negativity always finds problems, and someone obsessed with possibilities always finds solutions. The trap of negative dominance. The danger is this: most people let destructive thoughts dominate without realizing it. They obsess over mistakes. They replay rejection in their minds. They imagine worst-case scenarios until fear becomes their default state. And then they wonder why their life feels heavy, stuck, and full of obstacles. The truth is, their dominant thoughts have created that reality. How to shift your dominant thought. So how do you take control? It begins with deliberate focus. 1, awareness. Notice the thought that shows up most often in your mind. Is it empowering or destructive? 2, interrupt. When a negative dominant thought appears, don't let it linger. Cut it off. Replace it with a stronger, empowering thought. 3, repetition. Repeat the new thought until it takes root. Remember, what you repeat becomes what you believe. It won't change overnight, but every time you redirect your mind, you weaken the old pattern and strengthen the new one. Eventually, the empowering thought becomes dominant and your life follows. A simple exercise right now. Ask yourself, what thought has been dominating my mind this week? Is it, I don't have enough time? Is it, I'm falling behind? Is it, I'll never be able to do this? Or is it, I am in control? I will find a way. I will not stop until I win. That one answer reveals why your life looks the way it does and where it's heading. From thought to destiny. Remember this chain? Dominant thoughts create beliefs. Beliefs shape actions. Actions, repeated, form habits. Habits create results, and results, over time, become your destiny. It all starts with a single thought that you allow to dominate your inner world. So here's the challenge. Guard your dominant thoughts as fiercely as you would guard your most valuable treasure, because they are your most valuable treasure. They are writing the script of your life right now. If you want a different future, start with a different thought. Choose it. Repeat it. Believe it. Live it. Because when you master your dominant thoughts, you master your life. Every human mind runs in patterns. You think a thought, that thought sparks an emotion, The emotion triggers an action, and the action produces a result. Then the result reinforces the original thought, and the cycle begins again. This is what we call a thought loop. And here is the danger. If the loop is negative, it can trap you for years, even decades, without you realizing it. How negative loops form. Picture this. You make a mistake at work. The thought comes, I'm not good enough. That thought creates an emotion, shame, insecurity. Because you feel insecure, you avoid taking initiative. That inaction produces poor results, and those results reinforce the original thought, see, I knew I wasn't good enough. The loop closes, the pattern repeats. Each cycle strengthens the belief until it becomes part of your identity. Soon, you're not just thinking, you made a mistake, you're declaring, I am a mistake. That's how destructive loops enslave the mind. The silent prison. Most people don't realize they're in this prison. They assume their thoughts are truth, not patterns. They believe the lies their mind repeats simply because they've heard them so often. I'll never be successful. I don't have the discipline. People like me never get ahead. These phrases play on repeat like a broken record, and the more they play, the deeper the groove becomes. The tragic part, these loops feel so natural that people stop questioning them. They surrender to the cycle and call it their reality. The cost of staying trapped negative loops don't just steal your confidence, they rob you of time, opportunities, and even relationships. The person who constantly thinks, I'll probably fail, never starts, and so they fail by default. The person who thinks, people don't respect me, begins to act defensively. That behavior pushes others away, which reinforces the belief. The person who thinks, I don't have enough time, wastes hours worrying instead of acting, and so the prophecy fulfills itself. The loop is merciless. It doesn't stop until you break it. Why the mind loves loops? Here's the irony. Your brain craves patterns. It prefers the familiar, even if the familiar is destructive. To the subconscious mind, comfort feels safer than change. That's why most people live decades in the same loops, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, repeating the same actions, and getting the same results. They're not stuck because of a lack of potential. They're stuck because they never challenge the cycle. Breaking the illusion. Here's the breakthrough. Thoughts are not commands. They are suggestions. When your mind whispers, you're not ready. It's not delivering truth. It's offering a suggestion. You can accept it, or you can reject it. You can feed it, or you can starve it. The moment you realize this, the prison door swings open, because a loop only has power if you obey it. How to recognize your loops? The first step to freedom is awareness. Ask yourself, what thought keeps repeating in my mind? How does that thought make me feel? How do those feelings affect my actions? And what results are those actions producing? Trace it backward. You'll find that behind every disappointing result in your life is a loop that has been running quietly, consistently, destructively. The subtle loops. Not every loop screams negativity. Some sound innocent. I'll do it later. It's not the right time. I need to feel ready first. But these are just as deadly. They form loops of procrastination and hesitation that slowly kill potential. Every time you delay, the loop grows stronger, and before you know it, you've lost years. The choice. Here is the truth. Most people never face. You don't have to obey the loop. You can choose to interrupt it. You can challenge it. You can replace it. But you must first decide that your thoughts are not the boss. You are, because once you break a single destructive loop, you prove to yourself that change is possible. And that proof becomes the seed of a new, empowering loop. The trap of negative loops is subtle, but it is powerful. Left unchecked, it will steal your dreams before they even have a chance to grow. But once you see the pattern, once you name it, once you challenge it, you weaken its hold. So remember this, your thoughts are not chains, they are choices. And the moment you choose differently, the moment you refuse to run the same destructive cycle, you begin to write a new story for your life. If thought loops are prisons, then freedom begins the moment you decide to break the cycle. Most people stay stuck not because the walls are too strong, but because they never try the door, they never question the voice in their head, they never challenge the loop, and so they stay locked inside patterns that steal years of their life. But here's the truth, the cycle is not unbreakable. It only continues as long as you let it. Step 1, awareness. You cannot change what you do not see. The first step to breaking any cycle is becoming radically aware of it. Start paying attention to your inner dialogue. Catch the words you repeat. Observe the emotions that follow. Identify the actions that pattern produces. Most people live unaware. Their thoughts run unchecked, like background noise. But the moment you shine light on the pattern, it loses its power. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. Step 2, interrupt the pattern. Once you notice a destructive loop, you must disrupt it before it takes root. This could mean changing your physiology. Stand up. Move your body. Breathe deeply. Action interrupts thought. Using a verbal command out loud, say stop to break the mental momentum. Shifting your focus, redirect your attention to something empowering, an affirmation, a vision, a goal. The brain cannot run 2 dominant loops at once. When you interrupt a negative one, you create space to plant a stronger thought. Step 3, replace the thought. You cannot simply remove a negative thought. You must replace it. If your loop says, I can't do this, replace it with, I will find a way. If it says, I'm not ready, replace it with, I grow by taking action now. If it says, this is impossible, replace it with, everything is figure-outable. Over time, the replacement thought becomes the new loop. The destructive cycle dies because it no longer receives fuel. Step 4, reinforce through repetition. Here's the secret. Most people miss one replacement is not enough. The mind believes what it hears most often. That means repetition is power. This is why Napoleon Hill taught auto-suggestion. Repeated affirmations are not about tricking yourself, they are about training your subconscious to accept a new pattern. The more you repeat the empowering thought, the deeper it embeds. Eventually, it becomes automatic. And that is when the new cycle is born. Step 5, take aligned action. Thoughts create emotions. Emotion drive actions. Actions solidify loops. That means the fastest way to kill a negative loop is to take bold, opposite action. Afraid of rejection, make the call anyway. Afraid of failure, try. Learn and grow anyway. Afraid you're not good enough, prove yourself wrong through relentless execution. Every time you act against the old loop, you weaken it. Every time you act in alignment with the new loop, you strengthen it. the momentum effect. Here's what happens when you break the cycle momentum. The first interruption feels hard. The second feels strange. The third begins to feel possible. By the 10th time, the old loop has lost its grip. By the 100th, it barely exists. And the new loop has become your default state. Momentum is the great multiplier. Once you build it, the effort decreases and the results accelerate. Why few people do it? If breaking the cycle is so powerful, why do so few succeed? Because it requires discipline. It requires catching yourself in the act and refusing to obey the old thought. It requires persistence when the loop tries to sneak back in. Most people choose comfort over discipline. They prefer the familiar pain of the old loop over the unfamiliar effort of building a new one. And so they stay trapped. But winners make a different choice. They endure the discomfort of change until the new loop becomes second nature. That is why they rise while others remain stuck. The challenge to you. So here is the challenge for the next 24 hours. Observe your thoughts. Identify one destructive loop, and when it appears, interrupt it, replace it, act against it. It won't be easy. Your old loop will fight back, but every time you resist, you prove to yourself that you are in control. Every time you replace it, you train your mind to obey you, not the other way around. The trap of negative loops may feel unbreakable, but it is not. The prison door was never locked. You have always had the key: awareness, interruption, replacement, repetition, action. This is the formula for breaking the cycle. And once you do, once you free yourself from the old loops that have been running your life, you step into a new cycle, one of clarity, courage, and growth. Because here is the truth. Your thoughts may try to control you, but you always have the power to choose. And the moment you choose differently, your life begins to change. If your conscious mind is the captain, then your subconscious is the engine room. It is powerful, it is tireless, and it is always working. But here's the problem. Most people never give it the right instructions. They allow fear, doubt, and limitation to become the commands. And the subconscious, loyal and unquestioning, simply follows orders. That's why reprogramming your subconscious is not optional. It is essential. If you do not plant deliberate seeds, the weeds of negativity will grow by default. The power of the subconscious. Your subconscious controls almost everything about your daily life. Your habits, your emotional reactions, your automatic decisions, even the way you see yourself. Psychologists estimate that 95% of what you do is driven not by conscious choice, but by subconscious programming. That means you are living right now according to the mental scripts written years ago, scripts you may not even remember choosing. If those scripts are empowering, you thrive. If they are destructive, you suffer. Autosuggestion, Napoleon Hill's master key. Napoleon Hill discovered the secret nearly a century ago, autosuggestion, by deliberately repeating powerful, empowering thoughts. You impress them onto the subconscious until they become beliefs, and once a belief is accepted, it dictates behavior without resistance. Think of it this way. Your subconscious is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, it will grow. If you plant doubt, you harvest hesitation. If you plant faith, you harvest courage. If you plant purpose, you harvest success. The soil doesn't care what you plant. It only produces what you feed it. The science of reprogramming modern neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity. Your brain is not fixed. It rewires itself based on repetition and focus. When you repeat a thought, neurons fire together. When neurons fire together often, they wire together. The stronger the wiring, the easier the thought becomes. That is why destructive loops feel automatic. They are well-worn neural pathways. But the same mechanism allows you to create new pathways by deliberately feeding your mind with empowering thoughts. You literally reshape the structure of your brain. How to reprogram your subconscious. So how do you do it? There are 3 proven steps. 1, clarity of command. You must know exactly what you want to impress upon your subconscious. Vague désir create vague results. Specific instructions create powerful results, not I want success, but I am disciplined, focused, and unstoppable in achieving my goals. 2, repetition with emotion words alone are weak. Words charged with emotion are unstoppable. When you affirm your command, say it with intensity. See it, feel it, believe it. The subconscious responds not just to language, but to feeling. 3, persistence over time. One suggestion is not enough. Daily repetition is required. Morning, night, consistently. Every day you repeat the command. The programming grows stronger. An example in action. Consider the athlete who once thought, I'm not strong enough. For years, that loop sabotaged every performance, but then he began a new auto-suggestion. I am powerful. I am relentless. I finish what I start. At first, it felt fake, but he repeated it daily. He visualized himself winning. He spoke it out loud with conviction, and slowly, his subconscious accepted the new script. His actions shifted. His training intensified. His results changed. Soon, the statement was no longer an affirmation, it was a reality. The resistance you'll face. At first, your subconscious will resist. It will say, this isn't you. You've always failed. You can't change. That is the old programming fighting for survival. Do not listen. Do not stop. Push through the resistance, because repetition always wins. Eventually, the subconscious surrenders and obeys the new command. Guarding the gate reprogramming isn't just about planting new seeds, it's also about protecting the soil. Every day, negativity tries to enter news headlines, toxic conversations, your own fears. If you let them in, they compete with your empowering commands. That is why winners guard their minds ruthlessly. They refuse to entertain destructive thoughts. They limit toxic influences. They keep their mental environment clean so the seeds of success can grow without interference. The long-term transformation. Here's what happens when you master this process. Your automatic self-talk becomes empowering. Your default emotional state shifts from fear to focus. Your habits align with your vision effortlessly, and your results accelerate because you no longer fight yourself. You no longer waste energy battling doubt. You simply act in alignment with your subconscious programming. And when your subconscious is programmed for growth, action, and success, progress becomes inevitable. Reprogramming the subconscious is the master key, because once your subconscious is on your side, You don't need willpower for every action. You don't need motivation to push through resistance. You act automatically. You think boldly by default. You move with focus and discipline because your mind has been trained to do so. Remember, the subconscious does not care what you plant. It only produces what you feed it. So plant wisely. Plant deliberately. Plant thoughts that serve your future. Because once your subconscious is programmed for success, your entire life will rise to match it. Every word you whisper to yourself is a command to your subconscious. Your self-talk is not harmless background noise. It is programming, it is instruction, and it is shaping the way you feel, the way you act, and ultimately, the way you live. Most people never realize this. They speak to themselves in ways they would never dare to speak to someone they love. They say things like, "I'm such an idiot. I'll never get this right. Why do I always mess things up?" And then they wonder why they feel small, why they lack confidence, why they fail to take bold action. The truth is simple. Your self-talk becomes your self-image, and your self-image becomes your destiny, the voice that shapes your life. There are two voices in your head. One is the voice of fear, doubt, and limitation. The other is the voice of faith, courage, and possibility. The voice you feed is the one that dominates your life. If you allow destructive self-talk to run unchecked, it erodes your confidence, it poisons your belief, and it chains you to mediocrity. But if you take control, if you make your self-talk intentional, you can rewire your identity, reprogram your subconscious, and transform your entire life. The science of self-talk psychologists call this cognitive self-reinforcement. Whatever you repeat to yourself, your brain accepts as truth. Tell yourself you're weak, and your brain shuts down possibilities. Tell yourself you're capable, and your brain begins searching for solutions. The subconscious mind doesn't argue, it doesn't question. It simply accepts repeated input as fact. That's why intentional self-talk is so powerful. It gives your mind the commands you actually want it to follow. The default programming. Think back how many of your automatic thoughts sound like old recordings. That's because they are your parents, teachers, friends, even society. They all spoke words into your life. Over time, you repeated those words until they became your own voice. If those words were empowering, they became your strength. If they were destructive, they became your chains. But here's the truth. You can rewrite the script. You don't have to keep repeating the same old lines. You can choose new words, new beliefs, new commands. The 3 rules of intentional self-talk. 1. Speak in the present tense. Your subconscious responds to what feels real now, not someday. Don't say, "I will be disciplined." Say, "I am disciplined." 2. Speak with emotion. Flat words have no power. Charge them with conviction. Say it like you mean it. Feel the energy behind the words. 3. Speak with consistency. Once is not enough. Daily repetition engraves the new identity into your subconscious. The more you repeat, the faster you reprogram from destructive to intentional. Let's take some common destructive self-talk and turn it into intentional commands. Instead of "I'm always late," say, "I am disciplined and respect my time." Instead of "I can't focus," say, "I am laser focused and control my attention." Instead of "I'm not confident," say, "I walk with clarity and confidence." Each time you flip the script, you redirect the programming of your subconscious Designing your self-talk script. The most successful people design their self-talk the way an architect designs a building deliberately and carefully. Here's how you can start. 1. Write down 3 destructive phrases you often catch yourself saying. 2. Rewrite them into empowering statements in the present tense. 3. Repeat them daily, morning, night, and any time the old loop tries to return. This is not wishful thinking. This is mental engineering. You are deliberately building the identity you want to live from when the old voice returns. Make no mistake, the old voice will come back. It will whisper, "This isn't real. You're lying to yourself. You'll never change." That is just the old programming fighting for survival. Do not argue with it. Do not entertain it. Simply interrupt it and replace it. Every time you do, you weaken the old loop and strengthen the new one. The compounding effect. At first, intentional self-talk feels awkward. But over time, the compounding effect kicks in. Day 1, you feel fake. Day 10, you feel different. Day 20, you notice your behavior changing. Day 90, you are no longer reciting affirmations, you are living them. The words have become your identity, and once that happens, change is permanent. Remember this, the world's most powerful conversation is the one you have with yourself. If you let it run wild, it will tear you down. If you make it intentional, it will build you up. Your self-talk is not a reflection of who you are. It is a tool to shape who you become. Use it deliberately. Speak with purpose. Command your mind. Because when you master your self-talk, you master your identity. And when you master your identity, there is nothing in this world you cannot achieve. Your mind is like your body. It can grow strong, resilient, and resistant to outside attacks, or it can grow weak, fragile, and easily infected by negativity every single day. Your mind is bombarded with influences, news, opinions, gossip, criticism, fear, doubt, distractions. If you don't build immunity, these forces invade your thoughts, weaken your focus, and poison your belief. That's why the great achievers, the true winners in life, don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They build mental immunity so powerful that negativity cannot penetrate it. The invisible virus. Think of negativity as a virus. You can't always see it, but it spreads quickly. One conversation with a toxic person, 1 hour scrolling through fear-driven news, one careless comment, and suddenly your mind is infected. The symptoms: doubt when you should have confidence, hesitation when you should take action, fear when you should move with faith, left untreated. The virus spreads. It kills initiative, drains energy, and paralyzes progress. But here's the truth. Just like your body develops immunity to sickness, your mind can develop immunity to negativity. The first line of defense awareness. The first step in mental immunity is recognizing the sources of negativity in your environment. Ask yourself, who do I spend my time with? What information am I feeding my mind daily? Which voices am I allowing into my inner circle? Because here is a fact. Your environment programs you more than you realize. If you constantly surround yourself with fear, gossip, and small thinking, your mind will absorb it until it becomes your own. Awareness is your